Boom, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is, of course, your boy, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony here, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, wherever you may be, and however you may be listening. This is going to be another little relaxed video. I thought about doing this video live, but I decided that I kind of just wanted to dive into this stuff on my own and show it to you guys. And the video, of course, today will be about Iowa's 2022 recruiting class. It is the day of early signing. By the way, I may end up doing a live video if enough people say that they would come and hang out in a live video. So if you want me to do that, just comment in the comment section and I will get that done for you. Although I do have a lot of videos that I'm going to have to make because I expect several guys to commit today. And today is early signing period, something in which there are some people who have problems with it. Of course, it's the big schools, the big schools, whatever big means to you, whether it's financially, as far as pedigree, whatever. They are the ones who, of course, are saying, we need to push it back. We need to push it back because, well, the coaching carousel. I think the early signing period has worked out just fine. I think for the most part, coaches who stay at a school works out just fine for them. I don't really see why these other coaches should be rewarded for switching schools. I mean, that's pretty much what the rule is for the Brian Kellys, the Oklahomas, who are without a coach and have to scramble to get a coach and cannot, by no means, suffer one recruiting class. And the bottom line is, if your school is in order and you have candidates on your mind, you just go boom, 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 done. You take care of it. You get your new coach within a week. Okay. It's not like it's a super significant amount of time. The other argument is that it forces coaches like Lincoln Riley to go under the radar and go behind the school's back. Who cares? In doing what they are doing. But that's not what this video is about. I just got into that because this early signing period, which we see today, I'm not sure is going to last too much longer. I think it's going to probably get pushed back to January. By the way, if you're not subscribed, be sure to smash that subscribe button. It really means a lot when you guys do that. And subscribing makes you feel good. And if you don't want to subscribe, at the very least, like, comment. I try and comment to everybody's comment because that's the least I can do. And if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at 247 Hawkeye, and I will have the link in the description. And I will be putting the PayPal link if you want to support the channel monetarily in the description. I'll pin it to the top. There's been a few of you who have sent just very, very nice donations, and it is more appreciated than you realize. So thank you. All right, without further ado, let's get into this. So the Iowa Hawkeyes started fast, and then things kind of came to a grinding halt. And when you're a school like Iowa, your biggest selling point is the game day experience and the culture, the atmosphere. So the game day atmosphere and the culture of your school. And when COOF was going on, Iowa was really unable to see recruits in person, have recruits onto their campus in order to show them the facilities. Now, I'm not saying this as a way to let Iowa off the hook, because they did miss out on a few recruits that should have been kind of guarantees. I mean, especially if you look at their position. I don't know why I can't click on this. If you look at their position, them being from the state of Iowa, being on defense, yada, yada, yada. There are a few guys that should have been virtually guarantees. And Iowa, I can't excuse them for not being better at the Zoom calls, but that's pretty much all they were able to do. Every school was doing that, except for, of course, Arizona State, who kept having recruits on campus. And again, the biggest selling point for Iowa is their culture and their environment. And they, quite frankly, they just didn't have that. They didn't have that at their disposal. Spooky. So, it was what it was. And I want to show you guys just like how bleak things looked. I'm going to pull up the official visit sheet. An official visit is when the school pays for the recruit the whole trip to be on campus, and the coaches can interact with the players. I don't know the difference there. I can't remember that much on my recruiting trip as far as the difference between an official visit and an unofficial visit. I think the primary difference is the money. On an official visit, the school pays for it, whereas on an unofficial visit, you go out there on your own dollar, on your own dime. So Iowa started off very good. They got a commit from Aaron Graves. They got a commit from Caden Crawford, both highly recruited guys. One guy in state, the other guy out of state, both guys on defense. But if we look here, this was the primary recruiting weekend for the Iowa Hawkeyes, June 25th, which is what they usually do. And I think this was a mistake, because in a year where there was so much uncertainty, it became very obvious that the schools who were able to get to the players first were the schools that had a better chance of landing said commit. Because if the commit went and visited that school and felt okay, they didn't really want to go through all of this other stuff because there was still so much uncertainty. So these are the initial recruits that Iowa was in on and had on campus on June 25th. And I mean, I'm telling you, Iowa literally swung and missed on multiple guys. Christian Stokes, they missed out, to West Virginia. Brian Allen initially spurned Iowa for Illinois, and I'll get to him in a moment. Chase Carter chose Michigan State. In-state defensive tackle Hunter Dale, which should have been pretty much a guarantee, should have went to Iowa. And he chose Iowa State. Micah Riley Ducker, who was an Iowa fan, chose to go to Auburn. And again, some of the Hawkeye insiders said that a lot that had to do with some of these decisions was early playing time. And, the tight end position at Iowa was pretty log jammed, whatever. Okay. You don't see Notre Dame or Ohio State making those excuses. If you are a good recruiting team, you can pretty much convince anybody at any position, regardless of how log jammed it is, to come to your school. Iowa missed on Carson Hinsman, although they never really had a chance of landing him. He's from the state of Wisconsin. Landon Livingston chose West Virginia. Aiden Laffrey was favored to go to Iowa and chose Illinois. And of course, at the running back position, it all worked out. But Aiden Laffrey, who knows, maybe he would have ended up being a slot receiver for the Iowa Hawkeyes. and Iowa missed on Andrew Keller, whose teammate chose the Iowa Hawkeyes. That was a big swing and a miss. Now, again, Iowa ended up doing just fine, but these were some misses, and I'll show you some other misses that Iowa had here. Let's go to Xavier Wantpo, and let's take a look at the state of Iowa player rankings, which Iowa has done really well. In any class, Iowa's goal should be to land 2 of the top 5 guys, preferably one of them being the best player in your state. So minimum 2 of the top 5, if not more. And at least 5 of the top 10 players in your state. These are the 3 guys that Iowa missed on. Hunter Dale, Jacob Imming, who grew up an Iowa Hawkeye fan, and linebacker Will McLaughlin. They shouldn't have missed. They should have at least gotten one of those guys. Now, again, as I keep saying, things turned out to work. Things worked out, okay, which we will examine. But I do think it's important to show you guys the whole scope of recruiting. Then you fast forward, excuse me, to the season, and Iowa, blitzes for a 6-game win streak. And the game day environment is incredible. They beat Penn State with so many awesome recruits on campus, and they made solid strides with Xavier Wantpo. By the way, Eli Rariden, who is considered the 2nd best player in the state of Iowa, again, was favored to go to Iowa, and I get it. His dad played for Notre Dame. There's the legacy that is there. But Iowa has missed out on 2 4-star tight ends in the past 2 years. Not only just 4-star guys in general, but top 50 level players, or top 75, excuse me. So that needs to be, you get that type of talent, you need to keep it home. But either way, they picked up steam and they were able to land Xavier Wantpo, which is probably an even better get than AJ Epinesa, in my opinion, because Xavier Wantpo did not grow up an Iowa Hawkeye fan. He has 0 legacy connections, and for much of his recruiting, he was favored to go. He had multiple schools ahead of Iowa: Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Iowa just kept hanging around. They just kept hanging around, and which is super important. I remember my recruitment and looking at some of my friends who, Jake Rodriguez went to USC, Jalen Cope Fitzpatrick went to Oregon, both 4-star prospects in football. And the biggest thing is, in my opinion, and what I saw, is a school that is willing to continue to keep grinding it out with you. They stick by you and they just keep working. They just keep working. Because sometimes some schools will be super in on you, and then out of nowhere, they'll kind of disappear. Then they'll come back. So Iowa kept chugging along, and it seemed like the turning point was the Penn State game. Although I posted on Facebook a week before the Penn State game that I would not be, and I've showed you guys this. I can't remember what video it was. I guarantee you I was the first guy to say that I thought Xavier Wantpo was going to go to Iowa. Not that that's a big deal, but they always say follow the visits, and Xavier continued and continued and continued to visit the Iowa Hawkeyes. So I knew something was there. And then after the Penn State game, it just totally went to the Iowa Hawkeyes' favor. They were in the lead. And so I'm going to show you guys both rivals. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I'm going to show you guys both Rivals and 247 Sports rankings of Iowa's recruiting class, but I'm going to continue to tell you guys this story. I'm going to try and wrap it up relatively quickly here. So Iowa ended up landing 2 of the top 5 guys in the state of Iowa. I think 2 of the top 2 guys. I think Aaron Graves is either the best or the second best player in the state of Iowa. And they were able to find, a late bloomer in Cale Krogh. And it looks like they're going to land another late bloomer in Landon Van Kekerix. By the way, it is also very important to note that Iowa is going to be taking a small class. Most classes for Iowa is about 20 to 25 recruits. The sweet spot is about 22 or 23. And from what I have read, the Iowa Hawkeyes are likely to take, I think, 15 to 18 recruits in this recruiting class. And I'll tell you who I expect to sign with the Iowa Hawkeyes today, including late commitments that will happen today. And one of those guys is Landon Van Kekerix. By the way, let's go back here to the official visits. As you guys can see here, Iowa started to gain momentum. Did they end up getting, commitments here and here and here after starting 6-0? No. But they got one key commitment in high 3-star Caleb Johnson, who was initially committed to Cal. And if you were to ask me who I would have rather have had, him or Aiden Lafferty, who committed to Illinois, it would be Caleb Johnson. The dude is a man-child. He's 6'1", has breakaway speed, excellent get for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They just kept staying in on him, and they ended up landing him. TJ Hall, I'll get to him in a moment. And you can see here just some guys later in the process from Iowa's 6-0 start. They only landed one guy, Caleb Johnson, but it did move them in a positive direction for many other guys. And here are the guys who most recently were on a official visit. Carson May is already committed to the Iowa Hawkeyes. And so that's pretty much the story. Iowa's recruiting class, in my opinion, is very strong. I expect it to be top 35. It may be 36, 37, 38, somewhere in that range. But I do think by the end of the day today, it will be in the top 35. I'll show you guys here who the Hawkeyes have committed. And Iowa's class last year was a top 25 recruiting class. They ended up 24th. Let's take a look at that. And the average rating was an 8.777, which is very, very high, very good for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa recruited the offensive line very well, the defensive line really well, and wide receiver. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on last year's class, only to say that Iowa has rattled off and continues to be in excellent position for 2023 and 2024 with 3 commits in 2023 and 2 commits in the 2024 recruiting class. So the average rating was an 8.777. We go to 2022, and it is an 8.836. So the average rating in this year's class is actually better than it was in last year's class, which was the 24th ranked class. Now, let's wrap this up here. And I'm going to show you guys who I think chooses the Hawkeyes today. Let's go back to the visits page. Oh, we need to kind of run through this. Here are Iowa's commits: Xavier Wantpo, Aaron Graves, Caleb Johnson, Carson May, who's a 4-star by Rivals, Caden Crawford. So Iowa once again did very well on the defensive line, and they're not done yet. Jacob Bostic, high 3-star wide receiver. Josiah Patterson, high 3-star running back out of Florida, who had offers from everywhere. Just checking the time real quick. Cale Vanderbush, who is a late bloomer at tight end, very highly graded. He has a grade of 8.660 and a grade of an 88 from 247 Sports. Very solid. Three guys from the state of Wisconsin. So very, very good. The Iowa Hawkeyes, I remember Kirk Ferentz said when he was asked if he was worried about the 2022 recruiting class, and he said, yes, a little bit, but we are going to continue to stay patient. And they did, and it ended up just fine. Did Iowa miss on some guys that they should have probably landed? Yeah, I think so. But this class is still excellent, very, very strong. And I'm going to tell you who I think Iowa ends up landing today. And how many commits they have by the end of the day. I think Iowa lands Orlando Trader, and I will, be doing a separate video on all these guys, who is currently committed to Central Michigan. He has a grade of an 8.739, very, very good. Cohen Estringer, his teammate, is committed to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin were the early leaders for him. But it looks like Iowa has come in strong, and they are currently favored to land him. And I think they do. I think they do. I think they land him. So say that. How many times did I just say that? K'Ron Crawford was projected to go to Iowa after his visit, but it looks like he's going to choose Arkansas State. How that happens, I have no idea. My guess is that Iowa received news from a different guy who was committed to Illinois, decommitted, was favored to go to Iowa. Then he was favored to go to Oregon. Now he is favored to go to Iowa again. I'll show you guys him in a moment. I think they said we can only take 3 defensive linemen because they did really well recruiting the D line in the previous season. And I think the Iowa coaching staff received news from one of the other D line prospects, and therefore told the other guy, we really can't take you scholarship wise, and plus having 3 defensive linemen is still a pretty packed class. We'd love to have you still. We think you're very talented, but the room is pretty packed. And I think he just probably decided, you know what, I'm going to go to Arkansas State and get immediate playing time and stay close to home. Although I will say, I don't think it's a guarantee he chooses Arkansas State. There's only one prediction for that. It's a 6. I don't think that's a guarantee, but I do think that Iowa does not land him. And the other guy that Iowa lands, in my opinion, today, there's 2 more guys, is Brian Allen, who was committed to Illinois and is another defensive lineman, high 3-star prospect. He's considered a 4-star prospect by rivals. I think the Iowa Hawkeyes land him. So the Hawkeyes, so far, if you're keeping count, will get commitments from Brian Allen, Cohen Estringer, and Orlando Trader. Let's keep rolling here. TJ Hall, I also think, chooses the Iowa Hawkeyes, which would make it 3 defensive back commits in this class, where everybody was so concerned because Iowa only got 1 defensive back commit in the prior class. And in this class, it looks like the Hawkeyes are going to land 4. Obviously, Iowa plays with more DBs nowadays, with the cash position basically being a hybrid linebacker slash corner slash safety position. So TJ Hall, Brian Allen, Orlando Trader, and Cohen Estringer, I think all choose the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's let's see, TJ Hall. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 guys. That's 1, 2. Yeah, that's 4 guys. The other guy that I think the Iowa Hawkeyes land, and I will pull him up right now, is linebacker, late bloomer, Landon Van Kekerix, who is considered a high 3-star by 247 Sports. And the weird thing is, though, I can't get confirmation on if Iowa offered him or not, because 247 Sports does not have an offer, but Rivals does. So again, I expect Iowa to land Landon Van Kekerix, linebacker Landon Van Kekerix, DBs TJ Hall, Orlando Trader, and Cohen Estringer, and they will land Brian Allen. So expect the Hawkeyes to get 5 more commitments today. And that'll about do it. This class will be very, very strong. Like I said, I expect it to be top 35. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 5 guys. So Iowa will have 17 commits at the end of the day today, give or take 1 guy. And here are the rival rankings of the players. The significant difference here is that Caleb Johnson and Carson May are both considered 4-star prospects, so quarterback and running back. At one time, Josiah Patterson was considered a 4-star running back, but not anymore. So that is the recruiting class here. Like I said, very, very strong recruiting class. Iowa, missed on a few guys that they should have landed, in my opinion. But overall, they stayed patient. They stayed diligent. At the end of the day, the 2 primetime guys are Xavier Wantpo and Aaron Graves, and that's just big time. So we'll see who ends up, signing with the Hawkeyes today. Here are the projections for each guy for the Iowa Hawkeyes today. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, and of course Orlando Trader as well. So that is the 2022 Iowa early signing period recruiting class, so to speak. Expect Iowa to get 4 to 5 commits today, and this to be a very solid class. The last thing I do want to show you guys, and I have already kind of showed this, is just to show you how solid Iowa has been doing. In 2021, you have the 24th ranked recruiting class. In 2022, you're likely to have the top 35 recruiting class. In 2023, you have the 12th ranked recruiting class. Those are the 2023 commits. And in 2024, you have 2 other commits. One guy is considered a 4-star Cody Fox by Rivals. So very, very good. All right, guys, be sure to hit that subscribe, because subscribing makes you feel good. If you don't subscribe, at least like, comment, let me know what your thoughts are on the signing day today. What surprised you? What didn't surprise you? How good, not good you think this class is? What you think about recruiting in general? And I will be putting the PayPal link in the description if you want to donate to the show. And be sure to follow me at 247 Hawkeye. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow. And facts or feelings, your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. Go Hawks. Bye.